Joining me in the studio now is Benedict Owusu with Joy Sports. Benedict, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, also on the line is Kujo Amankwa. He's a Ghanaian journalist based in South Africa. He works with SABC. We'll be engaging him along the line as well. Kujo, you're welcome if you can hear me.
Thank you very much for having me on your esteemed show.
Very well. Let me start with Benedict here in the studio. Benedict, we've heard what the pundits have to say. We've heard what people have to say. It's like everybody is singing one chorus, and I can agree with that as well. We're looking at a football season or a league that's not very attractive. Everybody's doing Chelsea. I support Arsenal, even though I'm not, I'm not. I'm not a very ardent follower. But everybody's doing Chelsea, Barcelona, whatever. What really is wrong? We seem to do very well when it comes to identifying our problems by the way. So I'm sure you know the problems. Well, but what is wrong with us when it comes to solving those problems?
It's just unfortunate. I mean, we've gotten to this point where year in, year out, when the league must start, we are talking of, issues, litigation, clubs filing injunction, and all these issues. I mean, one, it's got to do with the organization and who organizes the league. It's the Premier League board, and the Premier League board is the Football Association. And I always say that the clubs, the 16 clubs, they make the Premier League board. So how is it that the 16 clubs that play in the Premier League, that they have the Premier League body, are not able to always solve their issues and have issues that affect the Premier League? I mean, for us, the external people, when you talk about it, they always tell you that what is our issue. So why are you crying more than the bereaved? So you should
really?
Of course, because if you are part of the PLB and you are not complaining, I mean, who is a journalist out there to complain?
So the problem is
if there is no sponsorship in the league and the clubs will still go ahead and play, who are you to complain?
No, I mean, I know it doesn't make any sense because you're playing football for people to, to entertain people. But the people you're entertaining don't seem to be entertained. They seem to be so it's like, okay, I won't make this analogy.
It's just that the thing is, it's just that the local game has gone down completely. I mean, we can't compare the local game that we used to see in the early 2000s and the late 90s, where people would troop to the stadium to watch Asante Kotoko, even play a team like Max B's, will go and watch a team like Oko United, Kwabi Brim. Now, even when Accra Hearts of Asante Kotoko are playing, you find it very difficult to get
players to fill the
spectators going into the stadium. Now, it's all about the English Premier League. It's all about the Spanish La Liga. People now will say, I won't pay money, go and sit at the stadium and not see anything of a quality football. They believe that when they watch TV, they get a lot. When you watch the English Premier League, you get more than enough. Why would you waste time and go and sit at the stadium where
the thing about the English Premier League, I'll talk about it in a bit, but let me bring Mr. Mankwa in this conversation. Now, in South Africa, what is the perception towards football, for example, Ghanaian football? Do they even know about it at all? Hello, Kujo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Right, I'm asking whether or not in South Africa, for example, they know about Ghanaian football at all. I mean, apart from World Cup, where they do.
They do know Ghanaian football.
No, do they know Ghanaian footballers, or do they know our Ghana Premier League?
They know Ghanaian footballers because under 17, under 23, the national senior team Blasters, they've done well, and by virtue of the way they play, they have endeared themselves to a number of people in South Africa. Gone were the days when Ghana had not qualified for World Cup. When I used to go on TV and radio and talk about football in South Africa, somebody would come from nowhere and say, what do you know about football when your country have not qualified for a World Cup? Now that perception changed from 2006, when Ghana, India made an appearance, made it to the next round, and in 2010, they made it to the quarterfinals. Indeed, they have endeared themselves to football lovers in South Africa.
If you compare, and I'm sure that you know a bit more about the Ghana Premier League, but in South Africa, would you say the South African League is more attractive than what we have in Ghana? If it is, then what is it that you're getting right, or the South Africans are getting right?
I'll tell you, the models are not the same. I'm listening from you where you say that Ghana Premier League is administered by the Ghana GFA. In South Africa, the GFA is autonomous. They are the custodians of football in South Africa, and they only look after the national team, under 23, under 17, the senior national team, senior women's team, and the professional arm of football, the Premier Soccer League, is run independently from the South African Football Association, and that is the distinction. So when I hear from you saying that the Ghana Premier Soccer League is administered by the FA, it sort of confuses me.
Well, it shouldn't confuse you. That is our reality. So let me find out from you, Benedict. Is this a model that can work in Ghana?
Of course it can.
Have there been suggestions? Have there been talks?
Yeah, there have been suggestions
Since
like
when?
that. Well, in the last 5 seasons, people have always been calling on the FA to make the Premier League board autonomous from the Football Association.
Yes.
So it wouldn't be like that the Premier League board is still under the Football Association, where decisions taken at the PLB can be overturned by the FA.
So why hasn't there been any change?
Well, we are calling for change to come, and maybe with what we've seen in the last 5 seasons, there's a time for something to be done, because we can't continue like this. And it's really hurting that when you follow the Premier League, the Ghana Premier League, and you want people out there to know that this is what we have, and this is what we used to have, which was that bright and people were talking about that, very promising, prominent, and now people hardly even talk about it. Now, when you do a show about Ghana Premier League, what do you get? You always get people telling you that this league that we are not seeing anything, even we don't even know the players, you are talking about it. Now, if you should go around and ask people to mention 5 players in Asante Kotoko, Accra, Hartford, they won't be able to do it.
I don't know.
Of course, but you'll be able to mention the club you support, Arsenal. You'll be able to mention at least names of 5 players. Why? Because people are not following the league. The league is not attractive. Clubs are not doing what they are supposed to do to make the league attractive. If the Football Association is not getting a main or a headline sponsor for the league, what's there for the clubs to do? They're not doing anything. It's only Dreams FC that recently are trying to, get their own sponsorship to do their own things. I mean, the other clubs. Okay. And so look at where they even play their matches.
Now that you've mentioned so you're mentioning a couple of things. You've mentioned sponsorship. You've mentioned location for the football matches. Let me come back to you, Kujo. You mentioned the autonomy that the football, the Premier League Association enjoys from the Football Association in South Africa. What are the other things that's working for the South African Premier League?
The South African Premier League is funded or is sponsored by SuperSport. In other words, multi-choice to the tune of billions of rand per season. So in as far as money is concerned, they are very rich and very powerful. They can pay money equivalent to some of these Norwegian countries in Europe. Maybe they can match payment in England, Spain, the Big Five, Germany. But in Portugal, a South African player that is going to Portugal or going to Norway, the chairman of Mamelodi Sundowns, Patrice Motsepe, who's a billionaire by global standards, can easily counter and say, no, I'm going to pay you the money that the team in Norway or for instance, Portugal is going to pay you. So one, the money is rich, the clubs are rich, and the clubs, the Premier Soccer is highly run professionally. In fact, the PSL is among one of the 10 professionally run leagues, not in Africa, guess what, in the world. And they pride themselves into that. And everything is done according to the book. To the T. Clubs are giving grants on a monthly basis to ensure that they administer professionally, to ensure that after the game, coaches come to the national television, SuperSport, to give an interview as part of the requirements. And you can see that their list is packaged in a way to ensure that it's very favorable to the supporters.
I see. So, but you see, in Ghana, there's a major competition between the local league and the English Premier League. Is it the same in South Africa?
It's the same in South Africa. South Africans watch the English Premier League. Obviously, you watch it through SuperSport. And Africans are able to get a window into the Premier Soccer League through SuperSport. And SuperSport is a South African-based company based in Johannesburg. in the location where I stay in Rambek. And guess what? On top of that, they are very proud about their own national things because there is a brand South Africa that advocates for South Africans to consume things made in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yes, they look and watch the English Premier League, but they are also following their teams. And when, for instance, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs play, they get about 94,000 in a stadium. The stadium is packed to rafters, and you can't believe it. Recently, it was Mamelodi Sundowns who is doing very well playing Kaizer Chiefs on a Saturday, and they had about 75,000 fans in the stadium at FMB. And that is how powerful the league is. Although some of the clubs don't attract a number of spectators, and those are the clubs that are not marketing themselves well and playing well. But in South Africa, once you play attractive football, they say everybody wants to be associated with a winning ship and not a sinking ship.
All right, so we've been running some polls here. Benedict, I know you have some quick reaction to what he's just said, and I'll take that. But so please write it down so you don't forget.
I won't forget.
Okay,
won't forget.
But we've been running some polls here. This is a pulse poll on Twitter. We're asking the question, very fundamental and simple question: is the Ghana Premier League living up to expectations? And so the answers are quite interesting. Actually, I'm not surprised. 9% of people say yes. 91% of the people who participated in this poll say no. So they're basically saying that the Ghana Premier League, as it is now, is way below their expectation. I would actually expect more. Benedict, are you surprised to see this?
Oh, not at all. I'm not surprised. I mean, there's something on any day when you put out there. These are the kind of responses you get. But he mentioned something that they are doing right. That
just a quick one as well. Facebook, the poll on Facebook, the same question. Can we see the results though? Okay, so we're going to just take some comments there. Okay, I'll do the comments right after I take the submission of Kujo on the results and then what you wanted to do, reaction to what he said previously. So go ahead. All
right, so I was talking about, you know, he made mention of the fact that when matches are done, you get coaches as well as players granted interviews. You know what happens here? Right. When a coach is on the losing side and you go to the coach for an interview, he will just turn you off and tell you that, my friend, I'm not going to talk.
So this is a Ghanaian coach problem?
A Ghanaian coach problem. And it's something that the FA must deal with, the POB must deal with, because it's not done anywhere. Even in the English Premier League, if Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp will lose, no matter the circumstances under which they lost, they will still open up and have the interview. But
they usually have a press conference of sorts.
Oh, it doesn't work, please. The person will come and sit there and tell you that I won't speak. They will not even come. They won't come for the press conference for you to interview them. And you know one thing that also happens, we don't make our players available to the media. Now, when we're about to play a match and maybe you're a journalist and you're trying to do a preview to the matches you play, you know the people you get to speak to, you speak to spokespersons of clubs and chairman of clubs. And
spokesperson of the GFA.
They are not the ones playing the football. No, I'm talking about the clubs. I'm talking about the things that the clubs are not doing. Okay. Because he mentioned, Kujo made a fantastic point about how the South Africans, they open the players, they open the coaches for interviews, and you know, these are some of the things that promote. So even when a journalist comes back from a venue and wants to do a story, the person is able to, you know, tell a nice story.
Why do you think that's what pertains? Why do you think they shield themselves from media and from the sports journalists?
It's got to do with our orientation of issues. I mean, I've lost, I don't want to speak. You understand? Which shouldn't be the case.
No, but again, you've lost, and you should give reasons why you lost.
Exactly.
Why is it? What didn't work? What worked? What was the tactical approach to the game, and where did it all fall into place or fit you?
I think it's a matter of culture.
Coaches are required by the manual, by the standard. If you don't come to the interview because you've lost, they are going to find you, and you are going to pay very huge money.
And it doesn't happen here.
It's a serious business. Football is a business. You win, you lose, you draw. So you are going to speak only when you win. Then you are not a proper coach. That is amateur, in as far as I'm concerned. That attitude is wrong.
It's a very interesting discussion.
And aside that, you know, the venues we play our football are not good.
Packaging. So he mentioned packaging
not good
as
at
well.
all. You go to a venue, the pitch is stable, very, very poor.
But
these are places that they are showing on TV.
You are a journalist, and you're talking about the difficulties that you've had to encounter getting coaches.
That's just a minor
players.
of the problem.
It's just
it's just a minor.
But what will it take to get that problem solved? I mean,
one, the Football Association should let the PLB be autonomous. We'll have a PLB that will run the league. The FA concentrate on the national teams, be the Black Stars and the other teams. And we have the PLB. Now the PLB should run the league. We have a head of the PLB. Whatever happens there, they decide that this is the direction we are going with the Premier League. But in a case where anything that happens at PLB would have to go through the executive committee of the Football Association, and these are members of the various clubs. The president of the FA has a team. The vice president of the FA has a team. It's not wrong to have a team, but all that we want is that the Premier League
to avoid the conflict of interest that we see,
run separately from the activities of the FA. Okay. So the PLB should be autonomous. In that way, I feel that things will be better, because I don't even know how to say.
I can imagine how you feel at the moment.
In the last 3 seasons.
We'll talk about the last 3 seasons.
Okay.
We'll talk about the last three seasons. But let's hear from people on Facebook and what they have to say. And I'm going to just read through some of these comments here. George Y says, last. Okay, now I need to see the question before. Is it the same question? Right. So we're asking about whether or not it's been... it's met the expectation, right? Because I wanted to see this so we can link it directly to the answer that the guy posted there. Is the Ghana Premier League living up to expectations? Okay, now the answer comes. He says, last, and that's what I don't quite get. So he said, last. House of Oak put 18 players on transfer. In the same breath, they wanted to buy at least 15 more as replacements. Does this make it a league? Okay, I don't understand that. Maybe you can explain that when I come to you, Benedict. He says, okay, some comment has been blocked. I'm sure it was full of insult. Stephen Elna says, when it is clear that the Ghana Premier League board and management have no expectations themselves, of what value will my expectation be? Okay. Dada Lawe says, there's more litigation in GH football than Gatlands. Oh my God. Mickey Mouse Montago and Kujo, I hope that you're following these comments. They're very interesting comments, and thankfully you are Ghanaian, so you'll understand the context. And Mikey says, do we even have a league at all? That's the question. And Rian says, the question should rather be, should we still play Ghana Premier League? And I will answer no. Easy, I'll say Songo has said this over and over and over again. Kwame says, you always bring your own down in promotes. Okay, so here is a divergent views had last. Okay, no, where did the comment go? I need to... Okay, so I understand there's a bit of insults there as well. But well, he's basically one of the people who think that you should push your own. But push your own even when it's not going well. This is our way of pushing our own. Pointing out the problem so we can deal with it. Phineas Redu says, is there any expectations at all? King Bongo, the people reflect its leader. Ghana football, dear, say you. Okay, so Mubarak. Okay. Someone says, your name is quite long. He says, Apu, that's expectation. Oh, you're asking what expectation we are asking. Okay, Abu Bakar says, there is no fairness in Ghana's league. Phineas Amma says, is there any expectation in the first place? Okay. And then someone says, this question is a Pasco. We know the answer. It's a big no. Next question, please. Okay. Let me take your response, and then I can go over the few others that we have. Let me start with you, Kujo. These are the responses we're getting. So far, I have not seen any response that's positive, except for the other gentleman who was actually going to accusing us of pushing down our own.
Let me tell you, I love Ghana football, one, because I'm a Ghanaian. I watched football from 1970 up to 1989 when I left Ghana.
Wow.
And I can tell you some of the names. Akwetama, James Kukudad, PSK Paha, John Eshon, Enoch Asumadu, Kwasi Owusu, Dano Owusu, Opoku Afriye, Opoku Sampene, the likes of Awuli Quay, Mama Akwa, Tete Chandu, Francis Kumi. These are players that make me not sleep overnight. For instance, when Accra House of Oak came to Sunyani to play for Kwatano with Mohamed Polo, Robert Hammond, Robert Foley, Mama Akwa, I did not sleep on that Friday or on that Saturday until I go to Sunyani Coronation Park and see Mohamed Polo do his own thing and see Kwasi Osu score from center. And I'm telling you from the 70s, I am what I am. I became a sports journalist by the influence of Kwasi Osu and Dano Osu. Kwasi Osu, who was a captain for Black Stars for almost 10 years, and Dano Osu, who was a goal king at the point in time when Ghanaians were scoring, and he scored 3 times in a row in a year to be that the goal king of Ghana football.
I sense the frustration there in your voice. Right. And I do sense the frustration there in your voice.
But now you see, maybe because there is a lot of money and people play half a season and do well and move to Europe because the emphasis has shifted from God-given talent and showing your natural talent on the field of play to entertain fans who have paid money to come and see you. The quality is a bit not okay. And in terms of the way that the organizational apparatus is underpinned in Ghana, I think there is a conflict of interest because from where I stand, I think the Ghana Premier League should be independent and run by professionals who have an understanding of creating a league that can be packaged and marketed to the taste and to the excitement of Ghanaians. So that we will look forward to going to the stadium.
Now I need to calm you down there before you break your phone. But let me come to Benedict. Benedict, there's an issue of corruption as well. There's an issue of serious corruption when it comes to football administration. How terribly is that affecting the popularity of the Premier League?
Well, the thing is, you can't prove. I mean, these are things that we always say. People will say that the FA leaders are corrupt, but I mean, there is no evidence to prove that this person has done that or has done. And it makes the league very unpopular because, you know what, the perception out there, which you've rightly noted, is that the FA members are corrupt. So whatever that they do, you know, you not
they are
want
shunned
to,
because people
you not
see
want
them as corrupt.
to associate yourself with it, and it's something that happened to the Black Stars after the World Cup 2014. What are we seeing? Even now, when Black Stars are playing at the stadium, you hardly will get people show interest or even go to the stadium. So it's the same thing. I mean, it's just the perception out there that the top members at the FA are corrupt. I mean, when it comes to football, and it's affecting the league.
Right.
Probably maybe that wouldn't be the case.
You also spoke about where they're playing the games now, the
venue.
infrastructure, right? And we're just seeing some visuals there. I'm sure we'll roll back to it.
That's the Doma Park.
Okay. That doesn't look very good.
It doesn't look good.
How do these, I mean, like this particular a venue like this, for example, affect? I beg your pardon. Affect the attractiveness of it.
Because look at the kind of pitch we are playing on. I mean, there are places you go and you see the pitch we are playing the football on. Jesus Christ. It's just something else. I mean, it affects TV coverage. So let's say if you have and this is the Sogakope Park.
I understand it's the best.
No, this is one of the best. At least you can talk of the Accra Stadium.
At least we have some that are good.
We have some that are good, but the majority are not good, and we should be looking at that. Poor pitches, which is affecting us, and this is not something I am saying. I mean, it's been said over and over by coaches that have come into the country to work, that the pitches here are not helping. And you know what? If you want a child to do well in school, what do you do for the child? You ensure that everything that the child needs to do well, you get for the child. If you want a footballer to do well, these are some of the things that a footballer needs to do well. Why is it that most of our footballers, when they go outside, they play very well, but here, because the facilities are there, you get good pitches to play on. And also, there is no money in the league. As I mentioned, the sponsorship is not there. Yes, you talk of broadcast sponsorship, Super Sports used to be there, they left Star Times. I mean, since First Capital Plus Bank left, we've not had a headline sponsor for the Premier League in the last few seasons.
And that's because it's not attractive, isn't it?
Exactly, because, I mean, and this is the same point we are all making here, that if we all know that the league is supposed to start this coming weekend, FA Congress to happen tomorrow and Thursday. And also the launch should have happened yesterday. And the club feels that it was not treated fairly. The adjudicatory body, one of the adjudicatory bodies of the FA, that's the disciplinary committee, did their job, came out with a ruling, and the club insists that, well, I wasn't treated fairly, so I've gone to court to secure an injunction. Would you want to put your money, if you have a company, would you want to put your money in such, in a league like that? No, I'm sure you wouldn't want to. And this is something that we've seen in the last few seasons. It keeps happening. Last season it happened. Tema Youth Dreams FC, and we kept postponing the start date of the Premier League. As we sit here, the FA just released a statement that they've postponed the Congress. And Congress, you must always go to Congress before the start of the new season. Now we've played the Gala, we played Champion of Champions, and we're supposed to start the league this coming Sunday. It's not going to happen because the club has secured an injunction on the league. It happened a season ago. It happened two seasons ago. So if you're a corporate institution, or if you're a corporate organization and you want to put your money in, definitely be discouraged. It's not something you want. And the players, the clubs too, are not doing enough. They won't brand themselves well. A club will wear Adidas top, Nike shorts. Can you imagine?
Really?
Yeah, it happens. You see it everywhere. And with the poor pitches they are playing with all these things, they are not able to attract sponsorship. So what happens is, if a player should hit top form this season in the league, and typical example, Thomas Abbey of Accra Heartful, last season was fantastic. He played very well in the league. Went for Cobna as well. And most of the Accra Heartful players, and it's not just about Accra Heartful, other teams as well. And let me tell you, these players now are playing in relatively unknown football countries.
Because that's where the money is.
Because if you play in a league and at the end of the month you don't even get 1,000 Ghana cedis and you get $500, you have a family to look at. If you play for, I don't want to mention clubs here, but the money is not there. So if a club in Iran will give you $500,
you go and play there.
Meanwhile, the player is good here, and that player probably was attracting people to the stadium, because it got to a time Heartful fans were going to the stadium to see the likes of Thomas Abbey. Now these guys are gone.
It looks like a lot of problems. It sounds like Ghana to me, actually. It's a lot of problems. We know the problems, but we can't seem to get around the solution. Kojo, let me wrap up with you. Whilst you're in South Africa, do you have any suggestions, quick, brief suggestions for the Premier League, Ghana Premier League, apart from making the board autonomous?
I guess they should sit down as a football family and look at the broader picture. You are very right. The stadiums, the pitches where they play are very, very bad. And when I sit here and sometimes I watch it on TV, I can't even tell my child that this is a league in Ghana. And I've got a son who's 15 years, born in South Africa. I've got two daughters. They've never been to Ghana, or I've told them that I'm a Ghanaian and their mother is also a Ghanaian. So maybe the football authorities should perhaps engage the government and the business community to try and upgrade the infrastructure in terms of the stadia and the pitches where we play on, so that when it's a beam on TV, at least it is good to the eye. That can at least make people to love the game. I suppose going to Sinan Coronation Park, the park I left in 1989 is the same park, and sometimes it doesn't even have grass. You go to Techiman, where Holy Stars were playing, is even worse. Our infrastructure is very poor. And if something needs to be done, I think an effort should be put in that direction to ensure that we upgrade the technical infrastructure of football in Ghana.
Hopefully they will. But you've been away very long. You don't like Ghana anymore?
I come to Ghana every year.
Oh.
I have a house. I have a very big house in Ghana. I built a
I'm just wondering.
million-rand house in Ghana.
Right. I'm just wondering. Well, in the meantime, we know that the South African president is also having issues. We'll get to that. How is it going for him, though?
I don't want to be political because I've got my own political reservation, and I don't want to express them. I'm a sports person, so let it be that. I'm only hoping and praying that sanity will prevail and the South African president to be allowed to give the State of the Nation address.
Okay, I think I've seen your political leanings now, Kojo. Thank you very much. Kojo Amankwa is a Ghanaian based in South Africa. He works with SABC. Okay, let's finish with you here. Benedict, it's been a very interesting conversation. And like I'm saying, sounds like a lot of problems for me. We know the problems, and we always have a problem when it comes to dealing with the solutions, right?
Oh, yeah, of
What's
course.
your final comment?
Well, it's just unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate that season in, season out, you're always talking about the Premier League being this, the Premier League being that, and we are not able to find solution to this problem, that problem. And I think that it is becoming too much, and the FA must sit down. And I was glad that today they held an emergency meeting. The executive committee held a meeting to look at the issues that have been happening. And I pray that going forward they will be able to, deal with all these issues where we'll not be having clubs always filing for injunction on the start date of the Premier League, and the sponsorship and all the issues that we've raised over the years about the Premier League will be sorted out. I believe we have good people at the FA. The president of the Football Association is doing very well on the global scene. He's with CAF, he's with FIFA. So, I mean, we expect that some of the things that they are
maybe
learning
that's the
should
solve
also
of the
come.
problem. It's doing too much, so there isn't enough time to take care.
No, it's not about that. No, I'm just talking about the expertise out there. They should also try and transform that into the local scene. So
make
that
the board,
able to
make
do
the
things
Premier
right.
League board autonomous, right?
Well, I feel that's the way to go.
That's the way to go. Let's see if they will heed. Benedict also is with Joy Sport. Benedict, thank you very much for coming. But just in case you're wondering, and I'm wrapping up, what football can do to our economy. Now, the Premier League football kicked £6.2 billion. That's £6.2 billion into the UK economy in a single season. And that's according to a new study. So it tells you just how much we can be making from football if we pay attention to it. My name is Gifty Andropia. It's been an interesting pause today. We ended it with, this football conversation. No, let's talk entertainment, but I'm sure that you've been entertained. Coming up next, okay, you can log on to myjoyonline.com for more news and information. If you do want to see some of the bulletins from here on the Joy News channel, all you have to do is scroll all the way down and you see the videos right there. My name is Gifty Andropia. Many thanks for your time.